Good. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I really do say everything three times, three times, three times. I did that one by accident, by accident, by accident, but I really didn't. Okay, cool. So let's just jump right into it because I want to get back to work. I'm just in the middle of something. So I think probably the biggest announcement is all of the dollar RHINO will be sent out today. Now, as you recall, 3 weeks ago, we did have that one-day offering, and we stated that it would be sent out on St. Patrick's Day. So I'm actually going through the invoices and putting together that list, the names, the emails, the wallets, and then putting the amount, and that's all going to be bulk sent at some point today. I would imagine before 4 o'clock. Actually, I would imagine before 2 o'clock, definitely before 4 o'clock. And then we'll just monitor, right? We'll probably see a little bit of selling. We did prepare for this moment. The market cap is now close to 86,000, the highest it's ever been. We do have money on the side to go ahead and support. But again, we don't expect anything crazy. But again, it's a company, so we make sure that we're prepared for all situations. So that's that. What else do we have? I got an email from one of our RHINOs who I'm just so proud. They had shared with me that they went through the entire Salesforce curriculum and they're scheduling the exam now. And they asked me if the flashcards were completed so that they can use that to study. In which case I said the flashcards are being completed as we speak. And if they could give me till the middle of next week, I'll have it completely organized out for them to do so, which is just so cool. Like, that's really cool. Like, I can't express enough that when you see someone actually do it, how cool that is. And this individual is from South Africa. The currency of the dollar versus his currency or whatnot is going to change lives, right? So he's prepared for when we go ahead and make that shift to gathering the agency clients, which is totally, totally cool. I stated yesterday that I was still working on our influencer list. We're now up to 230, I think. So we added 90, which meant Anthony was going to get a RHINO speed yesterday. And what's even cooler is I was able to go through every list that we've ever had, whether it was through our collaborations with others or whatever the case may be. And I was able to actually identify all the individuals that had done affiliate offerings before, for whether it be for RHINO or any of our partners. And there's some really big names. And we have all of their contact because, we had to go ahead and pay them out, which is fine. And I'm really, really excited to contact those individuals because those are the individuals that you more know their names. And these are the individuals that easily do 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 a month on a bad month. So when you bring them all together, when they're all effectively each looking for opportunity because they're not the top tier, they just have really good ecosystems. That's going to be super exciting. Also, we're building out the offering. So we have to go ahead and double check everything. So RHINO Bucks, we need to make sure that all the registrations are there, which they are. But when you go to like Coin Market Cap, it doesn't show it, and it says not registered with us. And we have tried to do all this stuff, but these companies are just difficult to work with. No matter how much information I give them, they're like, "Oh, that wasn't enough." And I'm sitting there like, I'm the creator. I have all the information. There's nothing more you could possibly want, or possibly that I don't have. So we're just going through the motions, but I do want to take a double take on all of that. Effectively, we're going to need to go ahead and share the RHINO story in a way that, and the benefit we've always had is we never charged for anything, right? So everything we made it in the likeness of being as much of a value proposition as we can possibly think of to others without ever being sacrificed by having a business plan to it. So I do think everything we've ever invented together, totally cool, Leon, thanks. I do think everything we've ever invented together tells a very good story. So we want to make sure that that's, ready for prime time, right? So that's going. I did say I wanted to have those videos edited by the end of this week. That's just Not going to happen. So I'll have it done by the end of next week. So the flashcards are being done, which are actually probably the most important part, right? Like if you have the flashcards are going to be everything that I remember from the test, everything that we've come up with that's helpful, and every question and answer from all of the quizzes in the certification process. So that's kind of the goal. Now, we do want to have the videos edited so that we could put it on like a Udemy or make it really, really nice where someone could just look at it and say, okay, well, I don't want to go through the flashcards. I want to watch it as I go along. And that's totally cool as well. So that's happening, but it's not, super duper. It doesn't need to be done right now. That's that. Oh, I wanted to tell you. So actually, let me just do a share screen because I think I have it prepared. Let's see. Let's lower this. Let's lower this. So Salesforce actually emailed us earlier. They emailed us a whole bunch of stuff, but they want to notify us that we are part of the official partner community now. So we did get our approvals. I mean, they're still asking for stuff just to dot the I's and cross the T's. But in terms of, is RHINO an approved Salesforce partner? I was super excited to see that today. So there are videos that they sent us to go ahead and share how the earnings are. And they're actually bigger than I thought. Like, the cool thing is, so when we build out this ecosystem and invite everyone into it and completely center it around Salesforce, it does behoove everyone that they're going to need to attain Salesforce, or the clients they're working with are going to need Salesforce, or they're going to be upsold, or people that people that never use Salesforce that we start working with, we're going to recommend using Salesforce. All of these different opportunities are secondary derivatives, right? Like our business isn't, hey, let's go be Salesforce vendors. Our business is, let's go ahead and teach others how to go ahead and pass the certification, learn the curriculum, and then we're going to do job placement for them. If it means we have to hire them ourselves, we will. That's our business, and it's free. In doing that business, you're going to have so many opportunities to recommend Salesforce along the way. That's huge, right? So obviously, as the bigger the community gets, the more opportunity there is. And what Salesforce allows you to do is it's lifetime residuals. So yeah, this person, and before you know it, you have $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 quarterly checks coming to you, which is pretty cool. And it just keeps growing and growing because you keep growing the audience. So that's, I want to share, that is a good thing. So, and the point being, once this really starts kicking in, the goal is that everyone knows how much support there is for the coin, right? Everything goes to RHINOBucks. So all of these different things that I'm doing is all for the benefit of RHINOBucks. That 100,000 or whatnot isn't going to come to Anthony Calachone's bank account. Oh, and you could probably make an argument. Well, Ant, these are your residuals, but I own RHINO, right? So the interesting thing about this journey we're on together is that whether it's craziness or crazy genius, I actually don't know. I put my entire net worth into RHINOBucks because my belief is I'm smart enough that I can figure it out, and that I'm genuine enough that people will see that. And when you put those things together, then we're all kind of rooting for each other's success, right? Like it's actually quite. It's not crazy to say that you could be someone that's you could obviously be someone that's very intricate and very involved in the process, but you could also be someone that's like, hey, I own RHINOBucks and I just watch Anthony and I cheer because every time he does something, like I know it benefits me because we're aligned, and I think that's cool. I think that's the thing that influencers and big names are missing these days, where you can root for someone, but what does it mean to you, right? Like I remember watching A Bronx Tale when I was a kid, and first off, if you've never seen it, you should. But Colangelo, they called him C, was crying because Mickey Mantle he struck out or something stupid, and Sonny, who's played by I forgot his name, but really really good actor. Ghost was like, "What are you crying? You're crying over Mickey Mantle?" And Colangelo's like, "Look, the Mick was crying. He struck out." And Sonny goes, "You got to be kidding me! This guy makes how much money a year? You go ahead and miss your rent and go ahead and go ask Mickey and tell me what he says to you." Begs, I love Eve. He goes, "Go ahead and go ask him for rent money. See what he says to you." And of course, he glams it up a little bit, like this guy doesn't give an F about you. And Colojo's like, I never rooted for him again. And the point being, you could love Derek Jeter, you could love all of these people, but the better they do, what does it do for you? Like nothing, absolutely nothing. And I always want to kind of change that, right? Like imagine if every time Derek Jeter hit a home run, like $10 went to your bank account. And of course, there's one doesn't equal the other. Like you would have had to build it out, but that is what Rhino Bucks is. And that is everything we're doing. So when I bring on these influencers, I hate calling them influencers. It makes me feel like I'm like a schoolgirl. But when I talk to these individuals, it's almost like bringing together five families in Italian mafia lore, right? Where you say, hey, listen, you guys all have really good businesses, but we need to make some rules because if you guys come together, you're unstoppable. By yourselves, you're only as strong as yourself and your relationships. But if you guys unite, then and I think, and what makes that great is the currency of Rhino is a real currency, right? So because it's built exactly the way that I shared it with you, where I'm completely invested in it, and if I'm completely invested in it, then everything goes through it. You could go to these individuals and say, hey, listen, I will give you X amount. So now you're completely invested as well. It's almost like if you owe the bank $1 million, they own you, but if you owe them $1 billion, you own them. It's a commentary on how much is actually involved, right? So if you go ahead and give someone 1,000 Rhino, well, they own you. Like they could sell it, they don't even care. If you give someone 10 million Rhino, you own them because that person's like, I can't, like they could still sell the 1,000, of course they could, but then they would destroy the other. It's just giving someone too much where now their interest is completely aligned. And it's actually kind of like a commentary on behavioral science, where you can give someone something, you can give someone so much of something that they could never had an interest in it, and now that's all they think about. And it's completely by them just simply accepting. So that's a diabolical tale for another day, right? But as you know at Rhino, we've always given, and there's many reasons for it, right? Like our mission statement is we want everyone to have, but don't kid yourself. It's always been part of it that we want to make sure that we have everyone's interest aligned with ours. So if it means we have to give them enough to earn their interest, then we will. And it all comes down to what's the difference between manipulation and what's the other, like suggestion or something. And it's just about your intentions, right? Like if you're drunk and I tell you that if I go ahead and pour wine on your pants and say, "Oh my God, let me go clean these pants," and then you could drive off. Well, of course you could drive drunk. Nothing wrong with driving drunk, but let me clean your pants first. Like if you get pulled over, you have wine on your pants. You don't want that. And the individual says yes, and of course, as you're cleaning it, the individual passes out. In fact, you actually give them more to drink so that they do pass out. And the next day, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy I didn't drive." Did you manipulate them? Like, I guess you did, but was it bad, right? Like, so I always had an issue with the word manipulation because it always comes down to what your intentions are. And I think I'm ranting, right? But it is only 13 minutes, and before Travis jumps in and starts timing me, I think this is a good time to go. I will have the coin out to everyone by 4 o'clock, absolute latest. Next week is a lot more organization, editing the videos, putting the process together. Oh, and this is going to sound totally cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but I've always believed that, and I'm going to grab this, but I always believed in if you're going to win someone, you need to actually put the work in. And what I mean by that is if someone is super duper duper, like say someone's the president of the United States, well, no, they have guards and stuff, but say someone is like the biggest person ever. I'm not sure that means that they're going to answer your email. Like if you email someone and they don't answer it, did you really try? Well, what if you wrote them a letter? Okay, they didn't answer it. Well, did you really try? Well, you tried more than writing an email. What if you sat at the coffee shop every day that person goes to? Well, now you really tried, but you're kind of being a little creep too. The point being, there are levels to it, right? And if you really, really want someone, you need to do something that expresses thought. It reminds me of when you're dating and you ask if you just ask a girl, how much does a guy have to spend on you to be worth it, right? Because if you have a guy that has $100 million that buys you $1,000 necklace, you feel cheap. But if you have a guy that makes $30,000 a year and buys you $1,000 necklace, you feel very valued. So it was never the dollar amount, it was a percentage of what the person had, because a percentage is how you value something. Because if you could just throw it out a window, it doesn't hold value. And the point that I'm saying, or trying to make, is that if you really want someone, you have to go out there and you have to do it. So I think what I'm going to be doing is every single one of these individuals that we want to bring on, I think I'm going to make a personalized video message. And one would say, well, Ant, that's like 300 different people. You're going to make 300 different messages. And of course, you can't just make, hey, listen, I'm Anthony, and this is what I want you to do. You have to know them. You have to research them. You have to make it what's in it for them. You have to go ahead and share, well, if you did this, this is how we could add value to you. And if you can do that to 300 different, well, how much time does that take, right? You have to research that this person actually donates to one-legged waitresses, that work at IHOP, right? Like, I'm sorry, I always love that joke. But if you could find what their not pain point, but what, as Abigail would always say, what pulls on their heartstrings, I think that's cool. Like, for instance, if somebody sent me an email, hey, Ant, I can make you $1 million, click here. I'd be like, go kick rocks. But if someone sent me an email like, hey, I made a video message for you, and the video message is, hey, Ant, I know, I really appreciate you, and I know this, and this is really important to you, and I have something I think could really offer a lot of value in those areas. I think by doing this, I could do this, and this. And I'm reaching out to a lot of people just like yourself. And it's going to be a really, really big event. And on such and such dates, I would like to invite you. Let me know what you think. If someone took, and now of course it has to be under a minute or two because I'm not watching a 7-minute video, but if someone was able to do that and actually pull my heartstring, I'd be like, I appreciate this person. I can't think of an example now, and I'm going to go because I know Travis is just ready. Where I can't think of the example, but I know there's been times where I haven't been pleased with the product, but I've been very pleased with the presentation, and I went ahead and paid for it, right? Because it matters. Stuff like that just matters. So, all right, let me go. Love everyone. If anyone has any questions in terms of, so the coin, by the way, and I think everyone knows this from last time, but let me just reiterate. Stripe passes us a 3.99% fee. So it's just the cost of doing business, which, by the way, is like, I think Stripe's least fee is 2.99, and that's the least in the entire industry, right? Anyone that has a merchant account knows that those fees are 15, 16, 17%. And that's if you even have one, because you don't just get one. A thing that RHINO really, really is pleased with is that we have the best merchant accounts at the best rates. And that's not even debatable. It just isn't. There's probably 100 or 200 people on this call that are like, yeah, I had Stripe and they stink because they got rid of us. We have over 6,000 transactions with a single chargeback, not one, right? So we've earned it. The point being, when we go ahead and pass on that 3.99%, Joseph, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm yelling. Joe, no, I canceled it earlier and rescheduled for next Friday. You do have the email though. It's to you. That's you, Jan. Thanks. So the point is that 3.99% that we pass through, everyone knows RHINO would eat it if they could, right? Like I don't care. I would eat it. We do everything for free. The problem is I don't have that choice, right? So if I don't pass it through, then that means that there's always going to be a 4% difference in terms of how much RHINO is purchased and how much is actually out there, which means there'll always be 4% more supply on the market than that is purchased, which means in the event that, God forbid, everyone sold everything, by math, we would never be able to support it, which I don't want to say the word fraud because whatever. But if that ever went to like the Supreme Court, they would say, well, your market was not ever really what you said it was. Like, you never had the ability to support. You just got lucky, right? Now, of course, RHINO's not going to the Supreme Court, right? I'm just making a point. But the point being, I actually have to pass that. If I don't, it's integrity in the market. It would honestly just be lying to everyone. If you're saying, it's almost like when a politician prefers to never tell you the bad stuff. Oh, everything's great, and then they leave office for 8 years, and then all of a sudden you realize everything blew up, and they just never cared to tell you because they always want to tell you the good times. I know that would blow up. It would. Down the road, it would just. Deborah, it's always on Zoom. Um, yeah, we still have our social network that we have to build, and we pay for it every month. It's just so much stuff. Okay. Oh my God, Travis, I love you. It's 20 minutes and I'm actually going to go, which means I just always remember I'm on the phone with him. He's like, I got you down, Pat. You're 21 minutes in. You're Anthony, 21 minutes. So let me go. I absolutely love y'all. And I hear Travis somewhere saying, I knew it. Bye. Yeah. Eve, I love you. I'll talk to you guys later.